Now we're going to talk to Dr. Geoff Plant in a minute. Some texts and comments coming in. Sean Kelly should be definitely nominated, says that texter. Another person saying, there was some garden parties around the area. I thought you're only allowed to have 4 people allowed at the minute. Some people are having a lot more than that. Good morning. Holy God, Damien, this is a disgrace. The people of the Dacia need to wake up. The black market for barbers and hairdressers are undoing all the good work that has been done by Waterford and the social distancing and respecting all the guidelines. People have to cop on, says this texter. Another person, since phase 1 opened, people seem to think they can go whenever they want. Loads of people out and about, definitely not observing the 5-kilometre limit. Other texters say the travel ban is a joke. I live in the mid-county. People are coming and going to Airbnbs. Francis Connors from Kill should definitely be included, says this texter in the Waterford Greatest Sporting Heroes. If we start jumping the gun, says another texter, reopening too soon, we'll be back to square one. What are we going to do? Another person saying people throwing masks and gloves on the ground. It is disgusting. Dr. Geoff Plant, good morning.
Good morning, Damien. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. A lot of people talking about, I suppose, the issues that medical people are putting out and NEFID and all the different guidelines, and then others saying we need to get back a little bit quicker. Why can't we get back a bit quicker? Why can't we do this, that and the other? And I think that's where the debate is going this week, Geoff, regarding the pressure that the medical experts are coming under to say, for example, can we change the recommended guidelines from 2 metres to 1 metre in line with the WHO, the World Health Organization. How do you assess this debate?
Well, if we rewind back to the beginning of this in mid-March, Damien, and we're having the same conversation and the same number, 57 cases have been announced the day before, we'd all be in a petrified state. Everyone would be to their houses and very much in a panic. There were still 57 cases yesterday. Yes, we're improving hugely and the numbers are coming down. So this is not a time for relaxation, in my opinion. It is very tough for the MP, the specialists, the MPHET and the scientists to come up with recommendations. Let's remind ourselves that this virus is around, let's say, give or take January, February, okay? Most research, scientific research, can take years to come up with definitive answers. We are now looking for definitive answers to everything within a 4-5 month period. I mean, science and the experts can only get us so far. So what's happening is the specialists are trying to advise various governments around the world, including our own government, and governments are listening and interpreting it and their policies as they feel fit, balancing something very difficult. One is the livelihoods of the nation and the economies versus on this number 2, lives. Now, our government and people are giving out like crazy, and the compliance is going down the tubes here. That they're being too slow, but we're doing really, really well. We're doing fantastically well, and this whole debate about meters, come on, we can all go back quicker. Let's just wait and see. They've always said that if the numbers start continuing to improve despite the lifting of lockdown, then maybe they could, but I can't see it. I think we need to stick with it. We've done brilliant well. In Waterford, as far as I know, and I stand to be corrected, I don't think we've had one COVID death. How amazing is that?
There was, maybe one. Again, we can't be 100% sure. I know there was a person died with one of the nursing homes, and there was a death then from Wexford, but that was Wexford, you could say. But in terms of the figures and the Waterford figures, they are phenomenal. And I was tweeting last week and putting it up on Facebook about the government should come down and look at what we've done here in terms of all the different aspects of what's gone out. And even in the hospital, especially in the hospital, what they're doing is phenomenal work. But like, you had Barry Cowan of Fianna Fáil on this morning saying, obviously with the medical guidelines, but he's basically saying we should look at possibly bringing it back to the 1 metre. So you can see where the pressure is coming from, but your message as a medical professional, as an expert, is just stay the course.
In my opinion, yes, definitely. I would agree. I think when we look back on time and we look at the way our government and policymakers and scientists made decisions, I think we'll be delighted with what we did. I mean, it's a very tough choice for them because we are caught between lives, as I said, and livelihoods. And when I say livelihoods, I mean the economy and financial side. And it's very, very tough. And people I can see where the population is at the moment. They're like, well, there's not much around. The numbers are going down. Sure, why can't I go for my cycle? Why can't I have 6 people in the garden? Come on. I mean, it's not that bad, really. But then again, this could turn overnight, Damien, and could change. Everything could change within a second. And we all just need to slow down our thinking here with regard to everyone getting more relaxed in themselves. Let's rewind back and look at Italy in mid-February. That was Bergamo. Look what happened. It was, the closest thing to a nightmare a society could have, a modern society could have, and it was so close to our door. So let's just stay the course. Let's do what we're doing. I know it's extremely frustrating, but my opinion is let's try to comply as much as we can. Let's do what we're being told and keep this up. We have saved huge numbers of lives. Let's keep doing it.
Okay. Well, to stay with the COVID situation for a minute, in Chicago, black people are 30% of its population, but 60% of its COVID deaths. And we've had a number of texts in from some black people here in terms of the numbers. And I was checking this out online over the weekend regarding NPHET, and they're looking at different aspects of compiling figures. But as far as I know, the figures for Ireland in terms of minorities haven't yet come through. What's your reading at it from a medical perspective in terms of, I suppose, I'll give you an example. Somebody texted us to say that her grandson, he's a teenager. He's black. He's terrified to leave his house because he sees on Sky Sports. This is a Waterford chap. He sees on Sky Sports and all the television things that the figures for black people are higher than other sections of the population for contracting COVID. What's your advice, and what would you say to somebody like that?
Oh, look, first of all, I'm terribly sorry to hear someone so young that worried. And isn't this where we're all caught at the moment, between absolute fear and trying to live our lives normally? Okay, as I said there a minute ago, we are, only 3 or 4 months into this pandemic, and it's difficult to read through the figures to get absolute science figures correct. It would appear, particularly in London, I understand, I saw some research there a couple of weeks ago, that yes, unfortunately, in their deaths, black people were more at risk, and we're waiting data from the States on that as well. I think there may be a couple of confounding factors there, Damien. For example, weight and pre-existing medical conditions. So perhaps if they're taken into account, black people aren't as much at risk, but it's too early to give a definitive on that. I mentioned it last week or 2 weeks ago with you. I think it's pretty solid now. The number one risk is age, unfortunately. And then close behind is the medical conditions like heart conditions, lung conditions, and obesity is very high up there in second or third place as well.
Yeah, and people talk also, sorry Geoff, people also talk about then potential racial discrimination in the healthcare system. There could be environmental factors in predominantly black neighbourhoods, higher than average prevalence of pre-existing conditions, higher morbidity rates, so many different factors with all of this that would have to be considered if there was going to be a comprehensive study done on this.
Yeah, there would be an awful lot. And you mentioned this to me 2 weeks ago, Damien. We cannot discriminate here at all. I mean, that's absolutely terrible. I think you mentioned me 2 weeks ago that obese people were being discriminated against, that they're likely to carry it. No one's more likely to be a carrier of this, and that should go out of people's heads. We're all just as likely to be a carrier. Don't be thinking that certain groups of populations are more at risk. They may be at more risk of getting a severe case of it. But they're not. So this discrimination should just go out of people's heads immediately. From a scientific point of view, that's just not true at all.
Tell me about cancer screening, please, and cancer screening services and how they've been affected by this crisis.
Oh, hugely. And again, this is part of the debate and trying to open things up. I understand as it is at the moment. If someone walks into a GP they're concerned about a breast lump, and we can refer that in, and they're being seen. The screening services are not operating, but I understand they're coming close to reopening. When I say screening service, cervical check, breast screen, and bowel screen. So hopefully they'll open up in the near future. I'm really not sure of when, Damien. But yeah, there could be. We all talk about there could be a knock-on effect of this in a couple of months' time, in terms of cancer rates and misdiagnosis. What I can say, certainly over the last 3 weeks here in the Geoff practice, we're seeing people coming in again with their appropriate medical conditions, looking for attention when they should. So we're very welcome, and I think most GPs are very welcome to see that again. So if someone has a very worrying condition and the GP is very worried about it, they will still be seen in the hospital. But a lot of the more routine services are not operating.
Okay, and we won't get to all the questions that have come in this morning, but a woman, a 58-year-old woman, she has pain in her joints, all her joints at the moment. She's taking paracetamol. Is there anything you could suggest, anything else that might be relevant for her?
Okay, well, quite simply, she can take some, if she can tolerate it, Nurofen for a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days, might be a bit better than a paracetamol for joint type pain. But if it's gone on over more than 10 days, 2 weeks, and it's a new thing, she should ring her GP for advice and perhaps come in for review after the phone call and after that checkup.
How long does glandular fever take to overcome? For example, my 17-year-old has been diagnosed with it. Seems very draining, severe throat, prescribed paracetamol and Nurofen, lots of fluid. Does recovery take several weeks? Asked this person.
Yeah, there's an acute phase there, Damien, for glandular fever, where someone can be quite unwell, but when you've recovered, let's say after the first number of weeks, unfortunately, people may have heard of glandular fever, tiredness, you get this fatigue. And it can go on. It can be short, but it can go on in some cases for months and months. Unfortunately, the fatigue becomes a major issue. Your listeners may have heard of some significant famous athletes who've got it and knocked them for 6 or even up to 6 months. So it can go on a little while.
Okay, listen, Geoff, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
Okay, and to all your listeners, try to stay safe, try to comply as best you can, guys. We've a long road ahead of us, but we're doing very, very well. So let's try and keep it up, okay?
Thank you very much, Geoff. Talk to you again. Mind yourself.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.